25 years, 20 countries, 2,900 employees,
Okay.
great list of clients behind, and fantastic success. Tell us a little more about your entrepreneurial journey, how it started. What do you think are those key milestones that made Kenexa what Kenexa has been in 25 years?
If I was an entrepreneur listening to this, then I would say, what do I wish I knew 25 years ago?
Yeah.
And probably the most important thing is thinking about the most important relationship you have. And that most important relationship you have is the relationship you have with yourself. And when you figure that piece out, everything else becomes a lot easier. It forms a foundation on building a company, getting employees, finding customers. And one of the things I found out about myself, for example, is one of my big drivers is ego. And ego forced me to make a lot of mistakes. So let me give you an example. In the 90s, we were growing rapidly, and my board of advisors told me that I needed a second tier of leadership. Well, I'm a legend in my own mind. So being a legend in my own mind, I said, I don't really need it. I was God's gift to the business world. And life really slapped me around. Because we were growing so fast and we didn't have the next tier of leadership, in spite of the fact that we were in boom times, the company started running into a cash flow crisis. Completely because of my mistake. And I'm glad I had that mistake at a younger age, and I had to go out there and get funding, buy out my partner, and lost my equity position. So it cost me actual cash. So understanding what your drivers are, it's like a good friend put it in describing me. He said, you've got a massive ego encased in a veneer of humility. And that's basically who I am. And once I accept that, I learn to embrace it, learn how to manage it, it becomes a lot easier. For example, the other one is, for example, fear is a constant companion. I'm so neurotic, I don't even know when I wake up in the morning whether I'm going to be happy or sad today, because fear is a constant companion. And once you learn and accept it and embrace it, then life becomes a lot simpler and a lot more fun. So I would say to somebody who's looking at building their own business, really learn to understand what relationship you have with yourself. Without that understanding, you're going to have a constant battle. It's going to be a constant struggle. Once you learn who you are, embrace it. Don't fight it.
What is the role of a mentor or a coach, or is that journey something that eventually you have to go through your own mistakes, reflect about them, and move on? Is there a quick fix?
It took me 25 years to build Kenexa, which clearly shows that I am dense, intellectually stupid, and just completely ineffectual, right? So when you establish those three factors just by the duration of time it took. And so earlier in the journey, because of my ego, I didn't have mentors. Now I have an abundance of them. And so one of the things that I found really useful is the creation of a career board. And I talked about it a little bit in my book that I wrote called We, W-E. The notion of having a individual board of directors for my personal development, for the organization's development, is a true gift. And if you can create one for yourself, and I'm fortunate, I've got kind of 3 different boards now, including one that's now over 20 years old, and we are CEOs in the Philadelphia area. We meet once a month for half a day, completely confidential, and I've known these people for years and years and years, and we keep each other honest. So mentors, in my opinion, are very, very important.
How do you build those groups of mentors? How do you engage with those? Obviously, those are people who are extremely busy with trillions of other things they're doing. What is in it for them?
Every human has a need to teach, because through teaching you learn. Through learn, you grow. The day you stop learning is the day you start dying. So if you understand that basic fact about every human, then in your interaction through the questions you ask and you give the other person an opportunity to teach you, they're in effect learning about themselves. So the insightfulness of the question you're asking me is forcing me to think about what have I learned. And so the next time you would ask me to say do something else, I would be more than willing, because the insightfulness of your question drove learning within me. So never be embarrassed about what it is that you have to offer. Be insightful in the questions you ask. And that to me is the easiest way to get mentors.
When you started 25 years ago, was that larger vision of really impacting society something that was a driver, or the driver was, let's build something that can become very big, and then you realize that actually this is much bigger than what I had thought?
So we started the company, my wife and I were on vacation in the US, and the whole idea was to tour around the US, work for a little bit, and what I discovered was, as an actuary, I knew I had the same designation as an American actuary. But because of the border differences, American actuaries were paid 50% more than Canadian actuaries were. So my first year of business, all I did was called up the 500 fellows of the society and said, do you want to increase your income by 50%? And I became a headhunter. I placed like 15 of them, 30% of their fee, you work out the math. My income went up by 3 to 5 times, and I was take like 8 weeks off in vacation. So it was all a journey, it was all a lark. And then along the way, I started other businesses. I had the individual rights to distribute Panadol in the Commonwealth of Independent States after the Soviet Union broke down. And then I had guns pulled on me by the Russian mafia, and being a coward, I ran away. So I've had a number of businesses, most of which have been flaming failures. But along the way, the thing I realized that in order to build a sustainable business, there had to be a purpose to it. And so what was driving me personally was the notion of serving humanity. And what I thought about it at that point in time was, if you are engaged at work, you are a better parent, a better partner, a better spouse, and that's the way we serve humanity, because you became a better community member. And so we realized that engagement at work began at putting the right person in the right job and maximizing their performance and maximizing their experience during their employee life cycle. And that became kind of our mantra. So there was our purpose, there was our vision, and that's how we were going to do it. And then we started building products and all that kind of stuff. So no, I was too stupid to have a grand vision. It was plain dumb luck. We just happened to be in the right place at the right time. The market was turning, and when you're in the place where the market's turning, it's kind of like you're in the middle of the Atlantic, right? And there's the winds that are coming and going west. We just put up the sails and we took advantage of it, and that's all that happened.